Experts take the couch, the living room on 938 Live.
Well, over 21 years experience in the sales industry, and she's also author of a book called Hard Sell. And our expert on the living room couch today is Angela Oh, and we'll be finding out more from her about what are some of the skills as well as the secrets to being a good salesperson. Of course, we do know that in this time, almost everything is about sales. Even if you do run an organization to raise funds or a non-profit, there has to be some amount of sales as long as you're bringing money in. What sets you apart, what gives you an edge? Well, thank you for joining me, Pamela, in the living room. And Angela was just telling us just a moment ago that, there are two P's that she would list as being the real secret to winning customers, especially in this very competitive environment. And one of them is passion, and the other is patience. Now, I would like to find out from Angela at this point, what do you mean by these two, and how do they help?
Well, I think first of all, when you talk about passion, you're actually talking about having a strong conviction that your product is going to benefit the customer. So imagine if you do not believe in your product and you kind of hesitate, when you're selling, your customer will be able to see through your nervousness and your hesitation, and they will think twice whether, they should buy that product from you in the end. So passion about your product in what you're selling is very important. And of course, when you talk about patience, it covers quite a lot of situations, especially when we are talking about even asking questions, about the customer's needs. Do we actually have the patience to hear the customer before we cut him off? Sometimes when we ask questions, we are kind of asking for the sake of asking, and before the customer finish the sentence, we kind of guess, oh, that must be what he or she is thinking about, and straight away we run into talking about our product or our services. And of course, when we talk about patience, it can also encompass things like listening to the customers in maybe when they talk about something that's not so related to what you're selling. Are you patient enough to listen and hear your customer out?
I'm sure you've encountered many of these experiences in your 20 over years, right?
Yes.
So share with us how it happened to you and how it paid off by, being passionate as well as patient in dealing with your customers.
Well, I think when you are passionate, there will be certain kind of enthusiasm that comes through, and you get people excited, and want to find out more. What's so great about your product, and as a result, they would be more open to what you have to say. And so passion makes a lot of difference when you're selling. I'm sure we come across certain instances where we go to a boutique and I still remember there was this sales lady, behind the cash register, and she was filing her nails when I stepped in. And as I was browsing around, looking at the clothes, and because I couldn't find what I was trying to look for, when I asked her, the standard reply was, oh, everything is on display.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's all there. So basically, it's telling you, just help yourself, and if you can't find, you can simply go out, So being passionate is really something that is very contagious. Yeah, and of course, the other thing about patience, I think basically at the end of the day, we are dealing with human beings. Customers are human beings, and they would want to be valued and to feel special.
Yeah, I think, if I felt like the person had listened to me and the person is really trying to understand my needs, what is it that I need as well, and is genuine about that, I think that would kind of win me over very much. In terms of passion, though, would you be able to sell something that you are not passionate about?
It's very difficult. I think, first of all, if you are selling something that you kind of have some doubts about it, then I think it's better not to even go into it in the first place.
It's not going to get you anywhere, right? Right. And, looking at this book, of course, that you have written, and it's called Heart Sell, Cultivating Authentic Sales That Last. And I'm just looking through the book itself. It's divided very neatly into different parts and segments. And in part one, actually, of the book, you've actually dedicated it to think and feel success. Now, share with us, Angela, how important is one's attitude and mindset in sales? Perhaps you could share a few examples of how that has worked for you.
Well, I think first of all, in my opinion, attitude actually means your perspective of life, and how you view life would actually translate into how you think, your thoughts, and even how you feel, as well as how you would react or how you would act. So, and it's something that's irregardless of the external factors. So, even if in situations where is not favorable to you, how do you actually react? So in my situation, many a times I would say that, it's not every time smooth sailing. You get customers saying yes to you the very first time. So for my case, I would adopt this never say die attitude. Basically, well, it may sound a bit like a pest, but of course I would do it in a rather gentle way, to basically to follow up with the customer. And sometimes it could be just the timing. It's not so much they don't need the product. So it takes some time, and of course, to actually, once I continue to follow up with them, I managed to clinch some deals that could have, took me about a year or so.
And how do you prepare yourself, to think as well as to feel success? Are there certain like rituals or certain things that you do, especially when you face rejection, right? Isn't it? Because in sales, I mean, rejection is quite a very common thing.
Yeah, I think when you talk about rejection, I think this is something that most new salespeople, will have to overcome. And that is to realize that rejection is not rejecting you personally,
Don't take it personally.
Yeah. So having to detach yourself from that, the product and yourself is very important. And of course, in terms of how we can actually help to feel better, I think first of all is to pause to evaluate the whole situation, why you're feeling that way. And of course, some of the sometime, I would actually write down my feelings, my thoughts as a form of release, of how I feel. And of course, one of the other quick way, is to do some deep breathing exercise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting about writing down your thoughts and feelings. I mean, I used to do that, but more because of journaling. Because when I feel a certain way, and some things I write down, but because I don't want anybody to read it, after I write it down, I just tear it up. But it just feels like it's like a catharsis. It's similar to that.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of sometimes I used to keep a diary, and when you keep a diary, you write down honestly how you feel, how you think, and when you look at it and you read, and you realize that you can think better, and you have a more objective view of the whole situation. So that helps.
Yeah. I think that way also. I mean, it concretizes the experience. It makes sense of experiences sometimes when you write it. Also, other than and just mastering our thoughts and feelings, another part of the book that you have dedicated to would be planning to win. I mean, I guess, in all sorts of situations when we talk about winning, there has to be a plan or some kind of strategy, right? But what makes a good sales plan? I mean, what does that look like?
Well, I think first of all, we have to do quite a bit of research about the company that we're going to visit. It can be through the internet, where we do a background search of what the company does, and some of the statistics, or some of the even key competitors or the industry challenges. So that is one key area that we must do some research, some homework. We can also read up some of the most recent literature about the industry. And I think the other thing is to have a very clear objective, what actually you want to accomplish during the meeting. Because sometimes customers can deviate, from what you are trying to discuss during the meeting. And of course, the other area would be how to actually find out, who are these people who will be attending the meeting, because understanding who are these people and their role actually play a very important part in your success of whether to close or not to close the deal.
How is that? I mean, how did knowing who is in the meeting how has that helped you?
Well, I remember a time where I was pitching to a logistic company, and basically I was told that there will be more than just one person who will be attending the meeting. And so I asked a bit more, as in, who are these people, rather than going there and be in for a surprise, you know. And it turned out that the other two are actually will be evaluating, you know, the whole proposal. So I have to position myself well, such that, you know, they will be buying into my ideas. So it's really very important to know who will be at the meeting.
Right. And of course, more tips will be given in that book that you have written. And this book, of course, is entitled Heart Sell, and we're talking HEART, selling from the heart, cultivating authentic sales that last. And on our couch today is Angela Oh, who is the author of that book. She has also won many sales awards, and she's a founder of Empower Learning LLP, which is a sales training and consultancy company. Well, tell us, Angela, about what do you hope readers will want to take away with them if they get a copy of this book? And now it's your turn to sell the book.
Well, I guess, first of all, I would like the reader to actually grasp a better idea of what the sales profession is all about. And also, at the same time, in the midst of my sharing of my experiences in the book, the level of sales professionalism can be raised. So these are the two areas.
Right, and I think in Singapore, there's always room for improvement in terms of a customer service. If you have encountered, well, not so pleasant salesman, well, maybe, I would say get a copy. You can always suggest this book to them, I would say. And this book is called Heart Sell, and the author being on our couch today is Angela Oh. Do grab a copy of that book if you'd like to find out more about the sales industry as well as how you can sharpen your selling skills. Thank you so much, Angela, for coming down to share with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.